Hello, Avonlea. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite fine, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Avonlea, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Avonlea, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest in yourself. And oftentimes, Heavenly, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Heavenly, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Avonlea, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, hmm, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing heavenly that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Like I mentioned earlier, your insights, your journey, your philosophies, and how you're offering your solutions. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, Avali, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from the beautiful things Avali is doing, and not only me now, but even with the audience. And here we had a day with the amazing Avali. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Lisha could do about it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Alicia. It's a pleasure being here. I'm excited to be on
Beautiful.
this podcast with you.
Awesome. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Heavenly, for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Heavenly, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Heavenly on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Emily, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Avonlea got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Avonlea, over to you.
Thank you. So my name is Avonlea Lightstone. I am the author of Strength of Scars, and this book is a memoir. Excuse me. It's just pretty much an autobiography about my life. It kind of started off as a 3-year-old trying to save my mother from a house fire. My dad was drunk and passed out, unresponsive. when that was happening, I was trying to wake him up, but he wasn't alert. So I felt like I just had to do the best thing that I could. And as a child, when you're screaming, your mom or your dad always comes to you, make things feel better for you, right? This time it
Right.
was turned around, where it's my mom that was screaming in pain. And I just knew what I had to do is you had to go comfort her, right? Because she's always done that for us kids. So I didn't think twice. I just went and hugged her because my dad was unresponsive, and I held her really tight, and she was trying to push me away. Like I knew she was in pain, but I didn't quite understand like what it was that was causing her pain. So I just did what I could to try to ease her pain away, but it didn't, and eventually it consumed me, and so I ended up getting burned. And I just, usually when you go through pain, you react and you let go and you just go towards whatever is hurting you, right? I didn't do that. I just hugged her even tighter. I wasn't going to let her
Right.
go. So here we are both together. She's trying to push me away. I'm just trying to hug her, saying like, you know what, we're doing this together, pretty much. And then when I started screaming is when my dad woke up. And the next thing I know is we were rushed to the hospital. And in that hospital, I lived in a poor area where technology at the time wasn't advanced. And so I didn't have any sort of like numbing pain to kind of numb the pain of the burns. And my clothes got burned onto my back, and, just the debris that they needed to take off. So I was placed in this gigantic bathtub, and they just scrubbed my back. And that was more excruciating pain than actually being caught on fire. That was worse than anything that I've ever endured. And so I just, as a 3-year-old, just being in that bathtub, being like scrubbing all the debris off of my back and my legs, it was painful. And then I was placed on a cot to just air dry. And I felt like I was curing like beef jerky. That's kind of what I described it in my book, is I'm just laying there like a piece of meat, just curing and trying to heal because I didn't have any sort of like numbing agent. And they rolled in my mom, and she was scarred, like pretty much from the face all the way down to her feet. She was a
Sorry.
completely different person. I didn't recognize her, but like in my heart, I knew that was her. And but she didn't survive that long. It was like 3 days later she ended up passing away. And I
Sorry.
think the worst part of all this was rejection from my dad. My dad stopped
Mm.
showing up. He stopped showing up to see if I was okay, nurturing as like a parent. A 3-year-old needs nurturing, especially when they go through like some traumatic changes that just suddenly happen in their life. And so my dad stopped showing up. And so I felt utterly alone at that time. And it wasn't like anything new to me. Like all this experience that I was going through was completely new. I'd never been through like rejection. I never felt like I wasn't loved. And so now that my mom was passed away and I was all alone, I didn't have like nurses will come in, and do their nurse things, nursing you, but that's about it. As a 3-year-old, you need somebody there, your family there, that's going to help you.
Exactly.
And I didn't get that. I had 9 siblings in India, and none of them really showed up. That they did at first, and then as soon as my mom passed away, they stopped showing up. And then once I got healed, I was so excited to go home, and my dad allowed me to go pay respect to my mom because I wasn't there at like any of the burials or any of the services. So I was honored to be able to just show respect to my mom. And right after that, my dad takes me to the orphanage to be adopted. And so it's just I
Mm.
had to face another form of rejection. Like, okay, I just lost my mom, and I lost my dad at that point when he stopped showing up at the hospital. And I think a lot of it has to do with like guilt of him being drunk and passed out and wasn't there to show up to help us. And because I was wounded, it was just bringing back all just like the memories of what happened that day. And he didn't want to, and this is just my assumption. He just didn't want to like deal with that pain. So it was easier for him to get rid of the pain and have him deal with the pain in silence. So yes, he ends up putting me up for adoption, and I get adopted. Well, I guess like in the orphanage, they groom you and getting you ready for this family in America. They tell you, they hype up all the great things about how wonderful these families are, and they're so excited to have kids because a lot of them can't have kids of their own, and that you're going to be in better hands than you were. So I was at that point already fine. I let go of my family in India because of all the rejection I dealt with in the hospital. And then when my dad put me up for adoption, I already knew at that point that it was okay to start preparing my own self for family in in America. So I ended up getting adopted into a family in America, and it was not exactly what I was told. You know,
Mm.
after the first year, it was fine. Everything was fine, and then I don't know. After I would say a year of being adopted, everything kind of changed. My mom's demeanor changed, and she became more mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive. And it was just like a different dynamic because I'm told I first off I knew what love was because my mom gave me that love and all of our kids love, so I didn't know any different. Then I felt a rejection by the traumatic accident I went through by my father. And then I got to a place where I was like, okay, I am fine. I'm going to help. I'm going to find a good family. We're going to be happy. So I was looking forward to and that love again. And then it was like just a whirlwind of emotion. And it's really hard on a child. And so, yes, so I grew up in a family where my mother was mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive. And they have adopted 14 kids. And there's always this system, you know, in my family. There's that scapegoat, the one that is always just trying to be like,
Mm.
be a good person, pleasing, you know, doing the best that they can, and that they throw their trash onto because they know that this person is not going to say anything. And then there's always the golden child where that golden child is going to be praised and loved. And then there's, because we had a
Wow.
big family, there's always these other kids that are trying to seek love from my mom. So they'll do anything to like take down other siblings to just try to
I
get the
get
love
it.
that they need. Does that make sense?
I get it. Wow.
So it just becomes like a very dysfunctional family. And as a young child, I had to navigate my place, try to figure out like who I was, what I was. And I think I never really understood my place. I did understood my place, but I didn't like being in that place. So I was always trying to just be better. So be better for my mom. What can I do to let my mom know that I love her? What can I do? Do I need to like make sure my room is tidy? Like, so then she doesn't have to worry about one child having a messy room. What is it that I could do? So I was willing to go the extra mile because she wasn't willing to like talk it out. Like she was just projecting problems, and she would like whisper like all these negative connotation about me to my siblings, and I was behind like closed doors. And so I just kind of grew up knowing I had to figure out what I needed to do. And I grew up in a religious home, and I knew God. And I think that was what really helped me to keep going, is having God in my life. And so knowing that, hey, I can go to God for anything, or if I have questions, I could do that. And so that's what I did as a little girl, is I went out in my field. I did wherever there was a quiet place where I wouldn't get disturbed. I felt like I could be myself, and I just poured myself to God. And in return, I knew that I felt safe, that He was protecting me. Even though I was going through a lot of this miserable stuff, trials, I knew that there was a purpose, but it's really hard knowing that you have to go through that. But now I look back and say, I understand why I went through that. It's because there's so many people around this world
Oh,
that's
yes.
aching, and they're in pain. And sometimes God uses us as tools. And, like if we are willing to work with Him and have a relationship with Him, and He'll protect us during our trials. And then we become a voice for those people that are silently suffering. And this is where I come in, is where I'm wanting to help people recognize, hey, their self-worth, who they are, and that they're a human, and they deserve just as much love and attention as anyone else, and that God is there to help them and love them. And if you just give yourself to Him, He'll help patch up the wounds that you have.
That's so true, Avonlea. And you see, there are some stories that should never go untold and unheard, and yours is among it. Because while you were talking, I was wondering within me, okay, I just want to hear the end result. How were you able to overcome all of this stuff? How were you able to handle it? Until the part where you said God. Because I knew no one can overcome or handle these stuffs like this without the help of God. This is just too much for a 3-year-old baby. I tell you. And now you went through all of these stuffs now, and God helped you coming to the understanding that you went through all that you went through, that you may help people who are in similar situation. And that's so beautiful to comprehend, because not many people comprehend that fact. So I'm glad that you wrote the book, you wrote the memo, and I'm glad that you're here standing, helping others. That's a beautiful one. And that just shows that you are a true leader and you have a good heart, I tell you. So, I left you to talk and you've answered almost all of my questions. So I have just one more question to go. Okay. So now, how do you forgive people who hurt you deeply? Let's say there is someone listening right now who's experienced some rejections and it hurt them now so deeply. How do they forgive those people? Got it?
Yeah, so forgiveness is a very personal thing. And it's one of those things where it took me a while to really understand what the word forgiveness was. I've always thought forgiveness was I needed to forgive my mom, and then I needed a return of forgiveness back. But because she was never willing to say sorry or forgive, I ended up hurting even more. So really, forgiveness is understanding what you've gone through, the pain you went through, and then what the outcome you want. You always want to look at the vision, the future vision of your outcome. Do you want to feel stuck? Do you still want to be hurting? Do you still want to always be wondering, questioning, why me? Or do you want to move past that? Do you want to, you see other people that are just so happy, that carry themselves so good. Like, do you want that? You need to, like, you have to have a vision. And if that's what you want, you have to go inside yourself and look at what had happened. And this is where forgiveness comes, is your walk with God. And you tell God, like, I've had enough. But you know what? I'm going to move on. I'm not going to let this person have power over me. This is I own my own power, but the experience I'm going through are just experience. What can I learn from it? How can I move on? And that's you're saying sorry to God about what this person did to you, and that you're not going to allow them to hurt you anymore, but you're not going to allow them to be part of your life if they're going to treat you that way. And you just say sorry, and you're just going to carry on, and you're going to give everything that you held on to, every pain, you're just going to give that to God. It's an exchange, because on the cross, God died for us. He said he was willing to take everything, but we have to
Oh,
be
yes.
able to forgive somebody else that harmed us. And as we do so, God will forgive us.
Mm, mm.
We have to forgive this person that's wronged us, because a lot of times the person that abused you, they've been abused before by someone else. And in order for them to reflect on themselves, you have to give them that chance by not acknowledging them. You can't let them acknowledge that they have power over you. By you walking away in a high-word self, you're telling them, I own myself. I am independent. So I have come up with this five system method. It's called the I shed system method. And what that is the I is an acronym for independence. In order to be independent, you're not being codependent on someone else. And you're saying, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to execute what's going to happen. And I'm going to take control of this. I'm going to start growing. And then you start shedding. When you start shedding, you look back and you said, I survived. You see that there is hope, as in H as in hope. You need hope to get the vision that you want to go through. And then you got E, which is empowerment. You're taking your power back. You're not going to allow somebody to pull you down. And then the D, you defeated it. It ends up closing this one chapter in your life. You might have layers upon layers, but you're going to use this I shed method in each process. You're going to be independent. You're going to take action. You're going to deliver it. You're going to look back, and you're going to defeat it. And you're going to de-shed. Like you're de-shedding, renewing your own self. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I got that. That's a beautiful word. Wow. You see, thank you for deciding to share your story. Because if you don't make up your mind to share a story, I might still be in the understanding that stories like this only occurs in movies. But getting to hear you speak, I am shocked and stunned. This is something that occurs in real life. And it's so inspiring and powerful. So thank you so very much for sharing your story. And finally, I'll take what you said about forgiveness as final thought. So for folks who like to reach out to you, Avonlea, ask you questions or make a purchase of your beautiful memo, how can that be possible?
Okay, so I actually have on my website, avonlealightstone.com, there is a section where you can get a free chapter of my book. If you're not quite sure what this book is about, it really is about the experiences I went through in my life. And yeah, just go ahead and grab that free chapter. And if you want to like follow my journey, because eventually I am on a mission to try to find my family in India. And I want to find my dad particularly to let him know I forgive him and that I don't have any harsh feelings against him. And I want to give him a gift to live the rest of his life in peace. And so that's another reason why I wrote this book, is to, in hopes that I can find him. But yeah,
Wow.
if you want to follow along in my journey, you can follow any of my social media, TikToks, Instagram, YouTube, at Avonlea Lightstone. And we'll see. I'm just starting this journey, and I'm really vulnerable putting myself out there, but I'm willing to do that
Get it.
to help other people. But yeah, it would be amazing to have your followers follow me and to be part of my journey.
So beautiful, beautiful. And I wish you nothing but success. Thank you so, so very
Thank you.
much. Now, and I would also love to have you on the show again, because I feel like there are still a lot of things we've not discussed here because of time. Would you like to return again?
Of course, Alicia. This has been
All right. Thank
fun,
you.
and I'm excited to join you again.
Thank you. So that's going to be the end of the show, Avonlea. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you.